Welcome back, and everybody. Hope everybody is doing really good. I'm sure we will see the end of the tunnel soon. And before we get started, let's offer our prayers and good thoughts to everybody. So we can get started. Obviously, we put some good process change. So you will see the video recording of this session sometimes tonight itself. So we put together some good process change. Every classes that day itself we will publish the video. So that was a good process improvement, thanks to Rajesh. So that is happening. So we will continue our Gita discussion, second chapter. As you all know, second chapter is a summary or an index of the entire Gita. So every subjected, so means touched by the Gita, we are quickly covering. So last week we turned the corner. We shifted our attention from the knowledge part to the how-to part. So we have been seeing the second topic of the second chapter. The first topic of the second chapter is essentially what exactly is the problem that is being summarized in verse 1 to 10. And from verse 11 to 37, we saw why each one of us should be doing our Swadharma or what needs to be done. And this topic is discussed in three different angles from verse 11 to 37. The first argument was from a spiritual perspective, Adhyatmika Drishti, which is from verse 11 to 30. So in that Adhyatmika Drishti, we have seen the three dimensions of a living being. Like there is the physical dimension, there is the subtle body or the soul, and we saw the Atma also. So what is happening when there is a death? What is happening during the lifetime? Everything has been discussed in detail. And the second topic was the same idea was discussed using a dharmic point of view. So it is the dharmika drishti. So we saw that the Swadharma, if you remember, I quoted Nadraja Guru and I said like the duty or the Swadharma will vary from person to time to time. And if you remember one example I told, if you keep that in mind, the quality of an apple tree is to be determined by the quality of the apple it produces. Brilliant exposition by Nataraja Guru. So we have seen that. And the third angle is from a laukika drishti or from a worldly perspective. If I don't do what needs to be done, if I don't act, if you don't behave properly, if you don't keep your dignity, what is going to happen? It will bring a bad name and you will not be a model. Instead, you will be a warning to the people. So those three angles we saw. And then Krishna said, so far I've been explaining Esha te phihita sankhye buddhir yoge timam shrunu. He said, so far I've been discussing about the knowledge part or the what part. Now I'm going to refer the how part. And that how part is referred as, anybody remember?
Karma yoga.
Yoga, exactly. Means karma yoga means on a high level it is yoga. To be specific, it is karma yoga. It is coming. So yoga, I'm going to explain. And he said, Buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasisi. Once you practice yoga, it is going to be, means all your bondage of karma will go away. So now, and he gave a glimpse of the karma yoga, right? So I spent some time quoting the neurology and quoting the psychology, explaining that when you perform an activity, certain stability or a certain composure of mind is a prerequisite for you to perform efficiently any action, whether it is your day-to-day job or whether it is a spiritual goal. So whether it is a material goal or a spiritual goal, you have to have certain mental composure to execute that job properly, and that is what is focused by Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga is going to give you a skill set. It is going to give you a lifestyle to develop a skill set by which I can perform my actions properly. All of us are on the same page, right? This is where we ended the last week. So now we will continue. So Krishna is going to introduce Karma Yoga a little bit further. But Krishna is, of course, a marketing man also. Before introducing Karma Yoga, he wanted to give you a little bit of, he wanted to develop some interest in Karma Yoga. So the next few couple of verses, he is going to give a little bit marketing of the Karma Yoga. That's what we are going to see. So let's start. So Anu, if you don't mind, could you please chant? Verse 40. Anu, you might be on mute.
नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्.
This is brilliant verse. He tells, Na iha abhikrama nashaha asti. Then he tells, Pratyavaya na vidyate. So if you look at the second box, I just tried to do the sandhi vicheda. What exactly is the word used here? So na iha abhikrama nasha asti. Pratyavaya na vidyate. Swalpam api asya dharmasya. Trayate mahataha bhayat. So this is what the word by word of this verse. So the literal meaning is na iha abhikrama nashaha. Na iha abhikrama nashaha means here. Iha means in this or here. Abhikrama nashaha. Abhikrama nashaha means if you take any action in the world, there is a sequencing. If you change the sequencing, what is going to happen? There is a problem. For example, if you are doing an agriculture, first you have to make the seed or the land properly, and then you need to put the seed, then you need to put the water, then you need to put the fertilizers. And if you change the sequence, what is going to happen? There could be problems. So that type of problem is known as abhikrama nashaha. And also waste of effort. That is another thing. That is another meaning. So that's one problem. And then pratyavaya na vidyate. With means there is no problem with pratyavaya. Pratyavaya is another technical term. Pratyavaya is a term used in a ritual. So suppose you start a ritual. Suppose you do a Satyanarayana Puja. Suppose you do a Mrityunjaya mantra. If you don't complete it, what is the belief of the ritual? Sometimes you won't get the result, and sometimes contrary result one can happen. But forget about the ritual. Let's take it to the real world. Suppose you are given an antibiotic for a problem. A course is given, like for 7 days. Suppose you take 2 days and skip. Sometimes contrary result will come. So these are the two problems associated with any usual endeavors. One is abhikrama nashaha, and the second one is pratyavaya. And Krishna, like a publicity agent, he tells in this path of yoga, you don't have to worry about the wastage of effort. There is absolutely no wastage of effort, because suppose you are building a house, means let's think through that angle also for this abhikrama nashaha. So suppose you are building a house, you are only building the basement or the first portion of the house. If you don't put the roof, what happens? The entire effort is wasted. But in the case of this karma yoga or the yoga, if you do only a little bit, 20% of the effort, and if you don't do 80%, still you get the 20% benefit. In the case of that house, if you do only 20%, if you don't do the 80%, you won't get any benefit at all. Sometimes even if you do 80%, the entire benefit will be realized only after completing the entire scope of work. But in the case of karma yoga, no such problem. If you do 10%, you get 10%, means you get that much benefit. If you do 1%, you get that much benefit. And also you don't have to worry about the sequencing a lot. And second thing is the pratyavaya. If you don't complete it, means there is no negative reactions at all. So na iha abhikrama nashaha asti. There is no problem of completing, means the wastage of effort, and there is no problem of negative reaction or the opposite result. These two problems are negated. And then he tells, Solpam api asya dharmasya. So even like a little bit. Solpam means even little bit. Even some of our colloquial language, you may have that usage. Solpam. Solpam means little. Even little bit. Of means asya, means of that or of this, meaning of the yoga. Even a little bit practice of this yoga, of karma yoga. Dharmasya. Dharmasya means here, dharma means karma yoga or the yoga. So Solpam api asya dharmasya. So a little bit practice of this yoga. Trayate mahado bhaya, will save you from great fears. It will give that much benefit. So in short, right, in this effort, in this practice of yoga, there is no loss of effort, nor there is any opposite result. Even a little bit of practice here is going to do what is going to, it is going to save you from a great fear. Clear? So that is the first point. Neha Pikramana Shosti, here in this Karma Yoga, there is no effort is wasted. Pratyavayo na vidyate, nor there is any problem with the omission, or there is no contrary result. Solpam apyasya dharmasya, even a little bit of this practice, trayate mahado bhaya. Trayate mahado bhaya, will save you from great fear. Trayate means, it is the root word. Tra means to protect. Means we already talked about that, right? Mantram, Shastram, all these words use this word, tra. Tra means to protect. Mantra means that which protect when you contemplate upon that. Shastra means that which protect, but Shas means to instruction. So Shas means to instruct, Tra means to protect. So Shastra means that which protects you through instruction. We saw all these things. Mantra means manaha, trayate manaha. So mananaha. So when you contemplate upon the meaning of the mantra, mantra is going to protect you. So that is the same word. So in short, Krishna, as I explained earlier, just like a publicity agent, a marketing professional, he is marketing his karma yoga. He's saying that this karma yoga is different from any other endeavor you had encountered in the past. This karma yoga has do not have two common problems that is associated with any project. One is the completeness is absolutely must have for other projects to reap the benefits, and karma yoga do not have that. And second one is some of the problems is when you don't do a thing completely, what is going to happen is it will have opposite result. These two problems are there. And positively, he asserts that even a little bit of practice of this yoga is going to save you from great fear and great problems. Brilliant way to market stuff. So that's what it is. Karma yoga, it's a lifestyle which focuses more on the inner growth, right? So typically, the external karma will produce a result when it is completed. But in the case of karma yoga, this inner growth, Krishna is going to talk already, it is going to happen. The external result may or may not be produced, but the internal growth is going to happen. And that is why Krishna said, even solpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahado bhaya. Then the Lord gives a remarkable assurance for all these undertake this yoga, right? Even a little bit of this dharma will save you from great fear. So it's an assurance and it's an encouragement to the devotees or the practitioners. You just entered into the spiritual path and you don't know. So that's why this assurance is given. It's a very good assurance and it is a really valid one. The reason I just highlighted is this is possible because Karma Yoga, the greatest benefit of Karma Yoga is the inner growth, and this is going to give that. Okay. So any question on this verse? Clear, right? Let's make sure that our understanding is, we are not believing, again, when we study Bhagavad Gita, we are not believing it, we are understanding it. And let's make sure that our understanding is proper and it is always connected with the previous verse. Remember how the thing is coming? Krishna said, the root cause of your problem needs to be addressed through the knowledge, right? You have to know your own self. And all that details were given. And for you to, before you gain the knowledge, you need to have this inner stability and purity. For that, you have to practice Karma Yoga. And for you to practice Karma Yoga, this is the benefit of Karma Yoga before he introduces Karma Yoga. That is where we are. Sequencing is very important in Gita. So let's go to verse 41. So again, the previous verse, the theme of the previous verse was the greatness of Karma Yoga. There is no loss of effort. That is the theme. So this next verse is, the theme is focus, the hidden driver of excellence. Again, he is going to talk about Karma Yoga. So Anu, could you please chant?
Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kuru nandana bahushakahyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam.
Again, a beautiful verse. By the way, the focus, the hidden power of excellence is a book. Anybody read that book? It's one of the beautiful book written by Daniel Goleman. It's one of the bestseller book. This book highlights the importance of focus in your life. Any major thing can be achieved only through focus. Focus is your ability to bring all your thought process to a small thing or a small object or activity for a continuous period of time. That is the definition of focus. It's very important. And in yoga, in the vision of yoga, focus is considered as one of the stable mental state. So in yoga, they talk about 5 different mental state, and focus is one of considered as a stable mental state. So vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana, vyavasayatmika buddhi eka iha kuru nandana, bahushakha hi anandascha buddhayo avyavasayina. So he tells, ekeha kuru nandana, ekeha kuru nandana, eka iha kuru nandana. Eka means single. Here, Kuru Nandana means Arjuna, the descendant of Kurus. So, Vyavasayatmika means determined, or suppose you are undertaking a major project. You are determined to get the result of that. So, in such endeavor, an endeavor in which you are determined to achieve a goal, it could be spiritual or it could be material. Like here, Krishna is talking about the spiritual goal. Suppose you want to gain this moksha, or you need to make sure that your mind is focused, and means vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana. So whatever projects you are trying to accomplish, whatever goals you are trying to accomplish, a mandatory skill or a mandatory requirement for that is a focused mind. Eka iha kuru nandana. The mind should be focused. And then he tells, bahushakha hyanandascha buddhayo avyavasayina. So the problem is the people who do not have that determination and courage and commitment, what happens? Their mind is bahushakha. It is always distracted and it has different thoughts. Ananta here. Their mind will go here, there, everywhere. To different objects, their mind will switch, and such people are avyavasayana. They are not determined. Forget spirituality, forget about everything. Isn't this is a practical thing? Suppose you want to achieve, suppose you want to gain a goal, whether it is studying for a certification or whether at work, whatever it is, if you have to achieve a goal, must have requirement is vyavasayatmika buddhi, single pointed mind. Meaning, sorry, eka iha buddhi. Vyavasayatmika means determined people. So with reference to this Karma Yoga, Iha means the reference to this Karma Yoga. Kurunandana means, O descendant of Bharata. Ekaha means single. Vyavasayatmika means determined. Buddhi means mind. So determined people should have a single pointed mind. And the people who do not have that discrimination or that determination, what happens? Their mind or their notions, here the word buddhi is used as a synonym for mind. Their mind or their thought process are many branched. They cannot focus, and they cannot succeed.
This is the most practical thing, most essential thing.
Most essential thing. And coming from 5,000 years back, amazing.
Most fundamental thing.
Yeah.
Rajesh, one question. I thought Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, like we had come across this verse before, doesn't it also mean transactional knowledge?
No,
like
that is Vyavaharika Buddhi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Yeah. In some Indian language, right, the Vyavasaya, the word is used for industry.
Got it. Yeah.
Tamil, it is used for agriculture, right? Mahesh and all, anybody who knows Tamil, like in...
yes, Rajesh. Vyavasayam is agriculture.
Yeah. So in here, all that has this implied meaning, like whether it is an agriculture or whether it is a like industry, you have to have that determined, this is a determined, focused endeavor. So this goal means when you have such noble goals or higher goals, your mind cannot be distracted and it cannot be many branched. It has to be single pointed. And when you have that single pointed effort, it is going to reap the benefit. And why Krishna quoted this? What is the greatest material benefit of Karma Yoga?
Concentration, right?
Yeah.
Material success.
It is going to develop an internal skill set for you. And that skill set is focus. A lot of studies has happened on Karma Yoga, like in Harvard and in many places. The biggest benefit, the material benefit, forget about moksha and all the other spiritual stuff. The greatest benefit of Karma Yoga is focus. You will be endowed with an ability to focus on your hand. The hand will work exactly, the mind will be exactly where the hands are. That is a great skill. That itself is good enough. That itself is a great reason for anybody to study this. And by the way, you hear like Gita for corporates, Gita for management, and you hear that, okay, Gita is being taught in the corporate America, in the academic America. They don't talk anything about moksha. So if you think that they're talking about the spiritual aspect, absolutely no. When they're talking about these parts. They're talking about the emotional intelligence talked in Gita. They're talking about the focus talked in Gita. Those are the aspects they're talking. So just be aware of that. So let's continue. So Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, this teachings that are well asserted or determined endeavor, Ekeha Kurunandana, it has to be single pointedness. Bahushakha Hyanandascha, like if the thoughts are infinite, Buddhayo Avyavasayana, that will not work. So focused mind is the key prerequisite for pursuing any goals of life. So another key benefit of Karma Yoga is to provide us with that focused mind. So the Vyavasaya means Nishchaya. Actually, it's the clarity or determined effort, or it's a focused or a means determined effort with a reference to what we seek and how I am going to get it. So when you have that type of endeavor, when the mind is not clear and focused, what is going to happen? The priorities becomes a problem and I won't be able to focus. So the focus is a skill set of the mind to attain, whether it is any goals of life, whether it is material goal or the spiritual goal, you need to have focus. So please develop the focus. So how many benefits Krishna highlighted so far? 4, right? 4 benefits of Karma Yoga is highlighted before teaching the Karma Yoga. 4 benefit has been highlighted. One is what? The completeness will not create a problem. Second thing is You will not have any negative effort if you don't complete it. The third thing is, whatever little you practice, you will get that much benefit. 3. 4 is, it will give a wonderful skill set, which is nothing but focus. That is what the greatest benefit of Karma Yoga. I always wonder, like, even Lord himself markets this before he teaches. That's what you are seeing here. But it is needed, because before understanding the benefit, Shankaracharya tells, even a fool will not do anything without understanding, without seeing a benefit. So it's good to understand the benefit. So now we are going to see some revolutionary teaching of the Gita. So you can do a karma as karma yoga, and you can do a karma as a without karma yoga. So Krishna is going to give some common problem. People always go and read the scripture and how they get distracted. So that is what the theme of the next 3 verses. So I know if you can chant the next 3 verses together, we can see the meaning one after the other.
Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipashchitaha vedavadarataः partha nanyadastiti vadinaha kamatmanas swargaparaha janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwaryagatim prati भोगैश्वर्य प्रसक्तानां तयापहृत चेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते.
Brilliant. And I'm going to talk about this. Please don't feel bad. So Krishna is considered as the first revolutionary person in the world of spirituality. So he is going to talk about that. Yam imam pushpitam vacham prapadanti a vipaschitaha veda vadarada partha na anyat asti iti vadinaha. Look at this, how the words are being broken. So when you chant, what happens is these verses will combine, and because of the sandhi. This is the speciality of Sanskrit as well as the Indian language. So without understanding the sandhi and samasa, one cannot break the word and understand the meaning. So just those means we talked about the chanting. That's why I tried to break the word for you if you want to understand. So Krishna is saying that, O Partha. Partha means the son of Pritha. So Pritha is a name of Kunti, and Prithvi means earth. So it can mean that, O son of Kunti, or the son of earth, meaning any human being. And then he tells what happens. Avipaschitaha. Vipaschitaha means the one who can see. Paschit, vipasch means one who can see properly is paschita. Avipaschitaha means one who cannot see things properly. A person who cannot discriminate between right and wrong. A person who cannot see things properly. So there are a lot of people who read scriptures, but they are being called as avipaschitaha. So even though they read scripture and study the scripture, they miss the essence of the scripture. So Krishna calls such people as avipaschitaha. So he tells, O Partha, there are avipaschitaha. What happens? They read, right? They Veda Vadanaha Partha. They read the Veda, and they see that in the Veda there is a lot of things, right? In Veda, you can see that there are 2 portions mainly. One is called the Karma Kanda, and the other one is called the Jnana Kanda. So the Karma Kanda of the Veda focuses on the rituals. You can see all sorts of rituals. If you want to do this ritual. If you want to get this benefit, do that ritual. Whether it is correct or not, that's not our discussion. But the first portion of the Veda is full of rituals. And what I can see scientifically is these rituals are nothing but the emulation of the worldly activities. These rituals are nothing but the emulation of the Kamya Karma, right? Kamya Karma. So kamya karma means you're pursuing a goal with, means you wanted to get something, or you want to get rid of something, you want to pursue that goal. So what it means, in the real world you have to do some work like that. In the Vaidika world, in the scriptural literature, they have given a lot of rituals. For example, a putra kameshti is given if you want a son, and if you want to have a money, you have like a prayer for Kubera, where means Dhanakarshana puja, like that. There is a lot of puja. So lot of people read the scriptures and they caught up only in this ritualistic portion. And then what do? Vadinaha, they argue that na asti, there is nothing else in the scripture. They only see the ritualistic portion of the scripture, or they only see how to gain things. They don't see, like, even if you gain that thing, what you are getting, you don't know. So they see only the ritualistic portion of the scripture. So they say, na anyat asti, there is nothing other than this in the scriptures. Anyat means other than this. And so what do? Iti pravadanti. Pravadanti means they utter or they declare after reading the entire scripture or understanding the scripture. They say that the scripture is only for rituals. And yam imam, these, and they utter like this. What do they address? Flowery, pushpitam vacham. So pushpitam vacham means they just give this only. So they do not see anything other than this. So in summary, a lot of people go to the scriptures, read the scriptures, to be specific, Vedas, and they see that this Veda has only ritualistic portions, nothing much they don't see. And Krishna say that flowery words uttered by the unwise. Avipaschidaha means unwise. These is flowery words uttered by the unwise. They just see the kamya karmas or the ritualistic portions of the Veda, and they say that Veda, there's nothing else to be pursued in the Veda. Can you believe this? Such a big criticism is given to even people who read the Veda. Yam imam pushpitam vacham prapadanti vipaschidaha. Those they utter flowery words of the unwise. This is the flowery words of the unwise. That is what Krishna is saying. This is how open is he, right? So it's a point blank criticism of people who stick their life only to the ritualistic portion of the Veda. So let's continue. And then he tells, Kamatmana Surgapara, Janma Karma Palaprada, Kriya Vishesha Bahulam, Bhoga Aishwarya Gatim Pradi. And why do they seek rituals? That is most important point. First portion he said, people don't see only nothing but rituals, and they follow these rituals only for what? Means they say that there is nothing else in the book. And now they say why, means Krishna is saying, why do they want these rituals? Why do somebody go to Veda and do a prescribed ritual? Can you tell me, why do people go to temple and do all these rituals? Is that for their spiritual progress?
For their material benefits?
Exactly. It is for their material benefits. That's what he tells. He tells what exactly is their mindset when they do these rituals. He say, Kama Atmana. It is full of desires. And what? Surgapara. Surgapara means they wanted to go to heaven, or they wanted a better life experience. There is nothing in doing wrong, means there is nothing wrong in doing that. Please don't think that we are criticizing it blindly. But Krishna is saying that it is just like a materialistic person going and doing that work. Just like that, you are employing another means. That's it. So just like a material person, there is nothing wrong in that. But don't think that you are doing it for a spiritual purpose. When somebody does these ritual for the material benefits, he is exactly like a person who is doing the same thing on the material world. It's okay. You need these things. You need better experience in the life. So that is you're following it. So you have to be very clear where exactly it stands. So you are doing this ritual. You are doing this ritual in such a way that means your goal is the heaven. So a lot of people, when their definition of spirituality is what? Even in Hindu tradition, they want heaven. Going to heaven is their primary goal. Why am I going to heaven? If I ask, Kamatmana Surgapara. Because what is the benefit of going to heaven? He tells that Bhoga Aishwarya Gatim Prati. Like you go to heaven for power and pleasure. Close your eyes. Think about why somebody want to go to heaven. Just think of that. You want to go to heaven for pleasure. That's it. And they call themselves as spiritual. That's exactly what Krishna is saying. So those who have full of desires, Kamatmana, what type of desire? Surgapara. So Surga Prati. So towards heaven. Heaven means a place with better life experience. There is nothing wrong in that. But this is not a spiritual goal. That's what all say. Kamatmana Surgapara. Then what? Bhogaishwarya Gatim Pratim. For what? Attaining pleasure and power. And what happened? Kriya Vishesha Bahulam. They do lot of rituals, lot of activities. For that, Janma Karma Phalapradam. So for what? For giving better birth and various result. Janma Karma Phalapradam. Getting various material benefits, they do lot of action. And lot of people going to the scripture, their spiritual life is limited to this much. They read the entire scripture, and if you connect this with the previous verse, they will say, Na anyat asti. This is exactly why I am following religion. This is exactly why I am following spirituality. Because the spirituality gives me an additional input for pursuing my pleasure as well as material benefits. So the meaning is full of desires, having heaven as their end goal. Heaven means a place with better experience. They utter flowery words which promises new birth as the reward of their action, and prescribed lot of rituals for the attainment of pleasure and lordship. Can you believe this is the words of Bhagavad Gita? Is this the instruction of a scripture, or this is what the criticizers of the scripture used to say? And this is exactly what Krishna talked about, the people who limit themselves to that level. So let's see one more verse. He tells, Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Apahrita Chetasam Vyavasayatmikya Buphir Samadhau Na Vidhiyate. So when their mind is craved about a particular outcome, right? So that is the problem here. There is nothing wrong in pursuing any goals of life. As long as you live, you have to pursue results. So it could be your promotion, or it could be the marriage of your children, or it could be the graduation of your children, or it could be the education of your children, or it could be your health, or it could be your wealth, or it could be your relationship, or it could be something for the benefit of the world. So everybody seeks results of their action. But the problem is what? We are obsessed with a particular outcome. And when we are obsessed with a particular outcome, we don't get that necessary mental composure to execute our activity. And it will have a problem. So those who are with these full of outcomes or desires, Kama Atmana. Atmana means their mind. Atma here means mind. So their mind is filled with a lot of desires and obsession and emotional dependency with what? Surgapara. Surgapara means the heaven or the better experiences of life. Prati. Kamatma Surgapara. Then Bhogaishwaryam. No, I think I didn't copy this verse properly. Bhogaish Kamatmana Surgapara. No, it's different. So Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam. I didn't copy the second one. I will copy. So the meaning is, so though means Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam. So those who attach their mind to this Bhoga and Aishwarya. Bhoga means the material sensual enjoyment, and Aishwarya means power. So those who cling their mind, or those who are obsessed with their mind, with the joy and the attachment, taya apahrida chedasa, their mind will be drawn away. Their mind will be carried away to that results. And what is the biggest problem? Vyavasayatmikya buddhir samadho na vidyate. Such people do not get that determined mind or that single pointed mind. And such people is never fit for samadhi. Samadhi means a stable mental state. So when your mind is hijacked by these desires, when your mind is hijacked by these external objects, your mind is completely is not able to focus. So the problem is, while you are engaged in the activity, your mind is disturbed by the anxiety for a particular result, and also your mind is worried because of your possible outcomes. So while you are engaged in the activity, your mind is anxious and worried, and when you get a result, if you don't get the exactly as you want, you are not satisfied, or you will have emotional problem. So such people will not be able to gain a stable mental state, and for them karma yoga is not possible. So to summarize it, Krishna is criticizing a common practice prevalent at that point of time. Forget about at that point of time. Even now it happens. So what happens is, people are pretty much addicted to the external objects. There is no problem in seeking the object, but the addiction is wrong. Emotional dependency is wrong. And what do? Even they look at the scripture as a means for accomplishing their material goal. So they take the scripture and utter flowery words. Krishna tells flowery words of the unwise. This is probably one of the greatest criticism he has given. So they utter flowery, these are the flowery words of the unwise, and they think that the only way to accomplish result is this, and this is the main purpose of the scripture. And with that purpose, they do a lot of activities, and as a result, what is going to happen? Because of their obsession for these material objects, they will not get a focused mind. And without a focused mind, samadhi is impossible. So a couple of things here. So it is strongly criticizing those people who are confused and who do not have any clarity towards the ultimate goal. And Vedic ritual, which is promised the performer a post-mortem heavenly existence with sensual pressure, they can, Krishna called that as a flowery words of the unwise. And in all these activities, you have no internal growth and no time to develop yourself. And these verses are, it is such a wonderful verse. And what happens? People who are tossed by the desires, it concludes that people who are with a lot of emotional dependency, lot of anxiety and worry for the outcome, they will never discover and experience their tranquility of the mind. And their life always will be a struggle, and they cannot achieve any goals. Forget about the spiritual goal, even the material goal. So this is such a strong criticism. And to explain these focus, Daniel Goleman gives some simple example, couple of 2 examples. I'll just tell. One is, even in winter time, you feel that the sun rays do not have that much power. But if you use a convex lens, you can see that these rays, when they are focused, it can burn a paper. That's a simple example. You will not see a simpler example. Another example he has given is, like, if a brick is there, let's say that 2 pound, you can just hold that with the hand, no problem. But imagine if you are holding that brick with a small point, the same 2 pound, you will feel a lot of weight when it is focused to a small area. So focus is a hidden driver of excellence. And I would strongly suggest anybody who is interested, you can read that book. That book is such a wonderful book. It's there in our library. So please go ahead and read, those who can read. And there is a lot of articles there. So let me summarize the 5 verses we covered. Again, we turned the corner and we got into the 3rd portion of the 2nd chapter, which is the yoga part. Krishna said, so far I have been teaching the Samkhya, and now I'll get into yoga. and yoga is the means of gaining a lot of skill set, and it will solve a lot of problems in your life. So this yoga, he tells, it is free from the usual problems of the other projects. And the other projects have problems of the completeness, sequencing, and also what? The third problem is, if you don't complete it, negative results will come. And that problems is not here. Even if a little bit of practice, you will get that much of inner stability, and the internal growth will be there. And then he tells, like, understand that another greatest benefit of this yoga is the focus. As you know, like, focus is the driver of excellence. Without any goals you perceive, the focus is such an important thing. And finally, he said, like, even those who read scriptures use the scriptures as a means for material goal. That is okay, but he tells, when you say that this is the only purpose of the scripture and you don't use scripture for any other growth, he tells that is a flowery words of the unwise. And considering Krishna's dignity and Krishna's means civility, I personally think that this is such a big words used by Krishna himself. So those who are extreme devotees of Krishna, and those who are pretty much say love Krishna, please understand that this is the opinion of Krishna. The reason I'm telling is that the other day, 5 years back, one lady came to me in the Bhagavad Gita class and said, like, can they hold a picture of Krishna with flute? Because somebody told her that if you keep a Krishna with a flute, what happens? All the wealth will be gone from the house. So let's not, after studying Gita, we should not get into these type of superstitions. And another story I heard is people are afraid of keeping Nataraja because he will break the entire house. Please, these things, let's not buy into these things and look at the words used by Krishna. Of course, those things are not even there in the ritualistic portion of the Veda. Those are the people's creation. But it's okay to use ritual as a means, but understand that I'm using it only for gaining some material pleasure, not anything other than that. That's okay. With that mindset, if you do, it's okay. But don't think that by doing some elaborate rituals, you will be spiritually developed. That's not the purpose. But the same ritual, when you do it in the spirit of Karma Yoga, it is going to benefit you. So this is such a I always felt that these verses are very, very daring words by a spiritual teacher. Any comments?
So,
I have a question.
Please. Yeah, one by one. Whoever want to go first, please.
It's okay. Go ahead, please. Sorry, it's okay.
Sure. Isn't this an indictment of the rituals then, to some extent?
Rituals can be used for internal growth. For example, if I do a Satyanarayana Puja properly, it's a means for me to actually internally visualize it, internally do it, and it can develop my mind a lot, and also it can be used as a prayer. But I'm doing it only for the material goal. What happened? That inner development part is completely gone. So if you really think about any Satyanarayana Puja that is happening in this country, it's a social event. Typically, you invite all your friends and family, and you employ a priest by paying some money, and the priest will do the puja in front of the house hall, right? And all the other people will be sitting and talking and all these things. At the end, they will gather, get the prasada, and go. So you just outsource your work to somebody, and you hope that the God will please and give you the benefit. God may. I'm not talking about that. I'm not saying that whether you get the result or not, that is definitely not my intent. But what I'm saying is that it won't give you any internal benefit. And actually, there is a famous verse, I think, who said that? Swami Chinmayananda said that. So there is a small booklet called Vedanta Through Question and Answers. It is by Swami So this book is authored by Nancy Patchen, one of the Western disciples. she used to travel with Swami Chinmayananda, and she used to collect all these and put that to all of the thoughts in a ritual. So she was saying that there is one whole portion on ritual. So beautiful answer is given. So I think Rajiv Malhotra also gave the same answer during one of our program. So Swamiji was asked, what is the benefit of watching the ritual means just like the way I just explained. And Swamiji's answer was, it's like going to a gym and watching somebody else doing the exercise.
So, Rajesh, this is Sanjay. I mean, like, very interesting topic.
Yeah.
And too many questions in my mind, but I'll try to just like ask one or two at this point.
Sure.
One is like, for example, we just talked about Satyanarayan Puja, right? But the way Satyanarayan Puja or the stories have been written, and I don't know how true it is, that it makes you fear that if you don't do this, you will get into the trouble, right?
Right.
So is that something true, or this is just to force people to follow a ritual, and that could basically give some sort of like or connectivity to the people, to the God?
Yep. Actually, you yourself answered the question. It is to initially, right, Shastram, when we started the Atma Bodha, I just explained one thing, right? Initially, the Shastra will give you through commandment. But the expectation is that the commandment is what? Why? Because you're not at all disciplined. So the first goal is to bring you to somewhere, and the expectation is that you will grow further. But the problem is we try to keep ourselves there. Why we try to keep ourselves in that lower region is I always think that most of the times these rituals, for example, you wanted to get that promotion, you will get this certification, you will try to do the networking, and along with that there is some unknown. To mitigate that unknown risk, you go and do a prayer and ritual. This is exactly what is happening. It's not to criticize anybody, or this is not to criticize a puja or a ritual, but I'm just saying that that is the mindset. But if you do this puja, right, with a karma yoga spirit, yes, this is a karma I'm doing, and the karma, the intent of this ritual is to give me this result, but I'm going to do it with Ishwara Arpana Buddhi and with the prescriptions of karma yoga. It will definitely give you the inner growth, even that ritual. So the original idea of all these rituals was to give you this internal growth. So just to give you, Sanjay ji, just a classic example. I think Vishnu Sahasranama, everybody does that, right? Means a lot of people here do that. It's a wonderful prayer. And before you do the Vishnu Sahasranama, you do the Karanyasam and chanting, right? So you say that Rathangapani Rachopya Idi Netram Trisama Samagasame Idi Kavacham. You have a prescribed process to do that ritual. If you do that properly, first thing what you're doing is you are making sure that you are protected from the external world, and you are transforming yourself into a new entity. And from there, you are reciting this. It needs a lot of sankalpa, it needs a lot of meditation, which is very good for your internal growth. And also, and depending upon karma, means every karma give a drishta and adrishta phala. So if you do this Vishnu Sahasranama or any such ritual with this karma yoga spirit, one is the adrishta phala is your internal development, and the drishta phala is what? Like you will be freed from worry and anxiety. And another adrishta phala is maybe this is a good karma and the God may give you the result. I'm not saying that it is not. But I only think Krishna is criticizing is people think that this is only a means to achieve my selfish goal or the material goal. So not selfish and non-selfish. Sometimes it might be an essential goal. But such people will stay there. They cannot spiritually grow up. That's all he telling. So there is nothing wrong in doing the ritual, but you have to improve there. And you have to keep the ritual where it belongs to.
Thank you. And just the second part of it is basically that we in India we do a lot of rituals, and there is like a lot of things which have been followed for years. And I think the way it might have built, things have gone to a different direction altogether.
Exactly. So in the 4th chapter, Krishna tells, right? So any practice you start with a good intention, over a period of time, what happens? It gets diluted, and it gets sometimes just opposite. So the game of telephone, you all know. So once it goes to the end, you get totally opposite meaning. So like that, these rituals, and this is, and if you really look at the history of India, you can see that. So all these ritualism started with a good intent, and over a period of time it got diluted, and over a period of time it became so dry, and people are so much focused on the ritual, and they really, the ritual is only a means to an end, and people always forget that end and started giving more attention to the means. That is the time Lord Buddha came up, and he started reviving that with his vision. So that was the greatest contribution of Bhagavan Buddha. And then what happened? This became dry intellectuals. Like Buddhism became very dry, only dry intellectuals. That's the time Shankaracharya came in. So it happens again and again. Radhika ji, you had a question.
Yeah, just a quick question about the focus, Rajesh. You said the greatest benefit of Karma Yoga is focus, right? So it is like, it will be like a byproduct. But at
It's
the
a
same
byproduct.
time, yeah, you also said that focus is so important. If somebody we need to develop, if we don't have focus, then who doesn't have focus is very hard for them to do Karma Yoga. Kind of like a cyclic dependency there.
I didn't.
Like,
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
I mean, maybe I got it wrong.
Yeah.
So I just
No. I might have said that, but there is no cyclic dependency. Karma Yoga is a learned skill. And when you develop Karma Yoga, you see that your focus is improved. So initially means you may not be able to do Karma Yoga properly, but that is okay. Krishna said there is no problem here. So while you practice Karma Yoga, you will see that your focus is improved, and your stability of the mind is improved, and your your purity of the mind is improved. So we are going to see Karma Yoga, what exactly it is in detail. So we will see how it is going to happen. The two major goals, like when you say Karma Yoga on a very high level, it involves the external Antaranga Sadhana and the Bahiranga Sadhana, internal practices and external practices. Down the line in the Gita, Krishna divides this into two different names. One is called the Karma Yoga, which is the external practices, and then the Upasana Yoga, which is the internal practices. I'll give you a typical example. Without focus, if you don't have focus, suppose you are sitting in a meditation, you may not be able to meditate at all. Even the meditation requires focus. So over a period of time, when you practice, you will see that your capacity to focus increases in the meditation. And that is why meditation is again big in the corporate world, because it gives the relaxation and it gives the focus. And I think once in a class I explained what are all the Upasana Yoga. And within the Upasana Yoga, I said, like in the mental Upasana Yoga, there are four type of meditation we practices. And one of them is relaxation meditation, and the second one is concentration meditation. And this concentration meditation is to develop the focus. And all the mantra chanting are classic examples of this concentration meditation process. You will see, I think Gina is doing a lot of practices on that. It is going to, you will see that your focus, power to focus improves. And it is like you cannot, God will not touch your head and you will get endowed with 100% of focus tomorrow. It is all has to be earned through your own work. So that's very important. And one more thing is, if I misspoke, please, my apologies. The greatest benefit of Karma Yoga is not focus. The greatest benefit of Karma Yoga is preparing you to receive the knowledge of the Vedanta. So that is the greatest benefit of Karma Yoga, Chitta Shuddhi and the Chitta Sthiti. But focus is always a byproduct. Focus and everything else we talk is a byproduct. But for us, what I said from a materialistic perspective, focus is one of the greatest benefit of Karma Yoga.
Okay. Thank you, Rajesh.
Yep.
Rajesh, quick question,
Sure.
just to dwell a little bit longer on the topic of focus.
Mm-hmm.
So while you are in the path of Karma Yoga, do you actively practice focusing and hence your focus improves? Or do you actively practice self-purification and your focus improves as a byproduct of that?
The byproduct. You don't need to explain. Of course, to answer your question, the main practice is focusing on the Karma Yoga. And when you focus on the Karma Yoga, you automatically gain focus. And when you come to the Upasana Yoga, within the Upasana Yoga, there is a specific prescribed practice for focus, which is Upasana Yoga is at the 4 level. One is at the physical level, second one is at the speech level, third is at the sense organs level, and the fourth one is at the mental level. If you remember, we went through that in detail, right? And at the mental level, one of the prescribed practice is concentration meditation. And concentration meditation is a direct means to improve the focus, but not just that. Every other practice, even the food, even the exercise, even, but remember, yuktahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta sopnavabodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. So every practice, every karma yoga practice and every upasana yoga practice is a hidden, means it will improve your concentration tremendously. There is no doubt about it. I myself is a biggest beneficiary of that. I know how much my focus improved because of this. So this
Sorry, Rajesh.
I can confidently say that.
Yeah, one more quick question on focus. Oftentimes, like, in practical life, we've seen that focus is not transferable. Meaning you could be very good at one particular activity and have a lot of focus in that, but then not so good at something else and very distracted in that particular activity.
Correct.
So is the focus that we gain from karma yoga something that improves our focus across the board?
Correct.
Or is it specific just to karma yoga?
That's a beautiful question. The answer is you all have the ability to focus. But in the current state, I have extreme focus in movies.
Yes.
But I have zero focus in my studies.
Yes.
So focus, by the definition of karma yoga, is the ability to concentrate where you want.
Beautiful.
Distraction is what? Ability to pull my attention to what I feel.
Except that distraction is spontaneous. You're not doing anything.
Because you see, you get focused on where you get this. See, for example, when a movie is going on, let's say that tomorrow there is a match and I have an exam. So today I cannot go and watch the match. But even when I'm studying, I cannot focus on the study because my mind is there. So karma yoga is the promised skill set here is you will be able to focus where you want to be. And for example, sometimes some people find it difficult to switch the context also, their mental context. So when they are at work, their mind is at home. And when they come back to the home, their mind is at work. Often 3 hours behind. So their failure at home and the failure at work also. So karma yoga is going to give you, that's honestly for me, that's the greatest material benefit of karma yoga. And I would suggest you to read that book. That book is giving all these answers, the Daniel Goleman book.
Okay. See, I've tried to practice this skill all my life and I failed miserably.
I think practice karma yoga and you will see some improvement. Again, Krishna is giving, keep that in mind. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya. Even a little bit benefit you will get. And that little bit benefit is perfect. So I always feel that first 20% progress you make, it is good enough to solve 80% of our day-to-day problem.
Pareto principle.
The Pareto support law, right? 80-20 rule always is valid everywhere, even in the spiritual world.
Meaning 20% of
the first 20% of the skill set, right? Means let's say that you need the 20% of the improvement you make in your focus is good enough to solve 80% of the common problems.
Beautiful. What about spiritual problems?
Of course, even material as well as spiritual. Because here, see, Gita is not dividing a lot between secular and sacred. Everything is sacred. Even the focus, it's a sacred skill. And even your study of the material book, that is also interesting. You will see that later in the 5th chapter. You don't have to divide all these things. Everything you do is sacred. So you cannot say that. That's all the Semitical concept. We unintentionally brought these Semitical concept into our spiritual practices, and we are getting suffered because of that. So there is nothing wrong. I'm not criticizing them. What I'm saying is that we do have a different prescription for the spiritual progress, and just follow this. Karma yoga alone is good enough to address a lot of issues. So Swalpam, keep this in mind. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahatu bhayat. So Nataraj Guru, in his commentary, he gives a wonderful explanation. He said this is a lifesaver, and this create a bipolar relationship with the higher, which you can tap always. So, okay, so that's 605.
Any book recommended book for Karma Yoga, Rajesh?
Bhagavad Gita,
Yes.
you will see that. I would not suggest go and widely read any book at this point of time, because most of the book written on Karma Yoga is wrong and confusing.
Okay.
So this is
Thank you.
one of the most misinterpreted topic in the entire spiritual world. And unfortunately, again, pushpitam vajam prapatanti vipaschitaha, flowery words of the unwise. Just keep that in mind. So you need to have a very systematic study of the Bhagavad Gita. There is no book in the world describing Karma Yoga better than Bhagavad Gita.
Sure.
So
Thank you.
every other book is derived their meaning from the Bhagavad Gita, and often wrongly. So because a lot of people say, like you might have heard, right? You have rights only on the work, not the fruits. I often heard Karma Yoga's definition is like that. It's completely wrong. So we need to understand Karma Yoga in a very systematic and scientific manner. So just don't be hurry. Like I will say where exactly the Karma Yoga touches. Chapter 2 give you a glimpse. Chapter 3 is a detailed exposition. Chapter 4 and chapter 5. So you need to study chapter 3, 4 and 5 to get a clear understanding of Karma Yoga. I did a fast forward and I already did what? Like the karma theory in detail. So at least that is in your mind.
Yes.
We will go back and understand the Karma Yoga. For you to understand the Karma Yoga properly, you need to understand the law of karma also. So which part we already covered. I'm glad that we did that with 3 sessions.
So Rajaji, you mentioned about Upasana Yoga, the 4 states of mind or the 4 practices.
Yep.
Which was the session in which you spoke on that?
Vedanta. Introduction to Vedanta, I did that, right?
Okay.
Rajesh or Rohit ji, I think that is the session we did that, right? Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga. Don't worry, we are going to do that in Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 6, we are going to talk about Upasana Yoga.
I'll also listen to the podcasts on Vedanta.
Yep. Vedanta, we did that. And, and in Hindi also, there is a lecture we did. Vikram did a lecture on Upasana Yoga. You can also listen to that. Those are the references. So that's where we are. And Anu, could you please chant these verses once again, if you don't mind? And then we will wind up. Five verses we covered, 40 to 44.
नेहा भिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात् व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः एकेह कुरु नन्दन बहुशाखाह्यनन्ताश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनाम् यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचं प्रवदन्त्यविपश्चितः वेदवादरताः पार्थ नान्यदस्तीति वादिनः कामात्मानः स्वर्गपराः जन्मकर्मफलप्रदां क्रियाविशेषबहुलां भोगैश्वर्यगतिं प्रति भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तयापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते.
Okay, so we will start the chanting program soon. And like a 30-minute session, we will start from chapter 1, verse 1. Anu will guide us. And Anu, is it good, like if you do immediately after the Bhagavad Gita class 30 minutes, if that time slot is okay for you? And how about the others also? If everybody is okay, we can plan that time slot.
That's good for me.
Anu, teacher, let's see, how is your schedule?
I'm fine.
Perfect. So yeah, plus think of that. And this one chanting, you can bring your kids also. They want to chant and learn, they can learn. But the lecture is definitely not intended for kids.
Right. I think like right after the lecture, we'll be in the right frame of mind also for the chanting.
Okay, that's what I thought. 30 minutes we can do. And I'll talk to Anu later today, and I will tell you the other details, what we need. We'll provide everything.
Fantastic.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. And I will talk to you soon. And be safe. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.